Yeah, I see it. I'll tweet it out now. Okay. Yeah, basically just like let me know when you're ready. You want me to post out the tweet, and I can. Just let me know when you're ready.
Hey everybody, it'll be a sec. Tiltify changed my dates on me, and so I have to fix that. So just give me a minute here, and then when I come back, I will have a discussion session with MasakoX, Dragon Ball related, of course. So if you're a fan of Dragon Ball, we'll do that. But I need to fix this thing, so give me a sec. Hi, everybody. Trying to get something working. Oh, I see. Hold on, it might start in a second. Let's see if I can, there we go. Hopefully it'll start working. Okay, we got, So basically what happened was Tiltify, despite the fact that I had everything set correctly originally, it reset my settings, which is very disappointing. I mean, luckily people can donate to the charities websites, but it wasn't until Orange Out Foundation learned of this literally minutes ago that I even know it was an issue. So I'm a little disappointed. But again, you know, luckily people can find the official websites. So anyway, what I'm trying to do is re-add the charity stuff. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, so that's it's typical bar here. Okay. So then I have MasakoX waiting in the wings. And now that we're going, I can actually let me close out some of these windows. I have like 5 windows open because I was trying to fix this problem. Things for next year to remember is don't assume that things work the way they're supposed to work. So that's my mistake. So that's on me. But I have to. Oh, you know what? I need to update the donation link. So let me find. We find that, and then once I put that in there, and then I will give Masako the okay to let his people know, and then we can do a Q&A, and then I want to talk about a scenario that I created. Wanted to get his input on it, so I might play it. I don't know. We'll see how that goes, but let's see if I can get that code here so people can donate. Here we go. And let's see. Where did the... Let's see. I have to find the little... There we go. A little longer than I would like, but what you gonna do? As you see me play with it. Oh, there we go. We'll go with that. Okay. So that's the new donation link for Orange Out Foundation for today. So Miss Seiko, if you can hear this, go ahead and do your promotion thing, and then I'm gonna go and let people know we're redirecting this way, and let me grab links. So pretend I'm not troubleshooting a problem I should have known about sooner. Okay, let's see. Trying to get back to where I was. Okay, so I gotta share the information for this new stuff for the panelists for later today. Before I forget. Okay, so we'll do and that was and then oh. Okay. So now to put out some social media, some more than 3 people. Now that I am unscheduled up here doing things. So I'm sorry for the delay, guys. It's like I gave somebody the link. Now I gotta remember where I put it. Okay, there we go. As I go through and post this stuff. Don't mind me. Do. One more thing. Oh, wow. Oops. Okay. Well, I guess we're going to have to live with that for today. Alrighty, I guess that's what we're doing. Okay. And thanks for the couple of you who are rebroadcasting. I appreciate it. I saw your names, but I'm really trying to get this stuff up. So if you see a channel thing change, it's because I'm still kind of like tweaking the stuff. So so just give me a sec here. Whenever you're ready, Masako, you can pop in. I just need to tweak a little bit of information on the stream names because I forgot this is day 3. But you know, it's a bad start of the day, but you know what? I hope it's going to get better. And hopefully, now that we got that fixed, people will donate to this charity. This is Orange Out Foundation. So what they do is provide support to cancer patients through gifts and meals and toys for the kids. And so it's a good charity. It's based out of Texas. It was started by a couple whose child had cancer. So it's a worthy cause to donate to. And hopefully my stream's updated like I wanted. I'm not going to go look. But this has actually been resolved. I can delete that. So I feel super unprepared because I wasn't prepared to go on stream today. Or at least until 6 o'clock. But here I am. My hair not looking combed despite the fact that I did actually comb it. But here we go. So I'm going to show you this. Oh, hey, what's up?
Hi. Yeah, are we ready to go?
Yeah, give me 1 sec. I just want to do the normal, hey, here's what's today's schedule thing is today since I'm doing this.
Okay.
And let me try to grab the right thing here. As the screen is there we go. So today's schedule, as you see on your screen, is well, what we're doing right now, which I'm sorry, we're about half hour behind schedule. 2 p.m. it is Animal Crossing New Horizons with Dapper. Hi, Grib. I cannot pronounce your name. I'm sorry. Anyway, DapperDraBY at 2 p.m. 4 p.m. The Orange Off Foundation, Eddie will be handling that. It's general video gaming, so whatever he has going on. And then at 6 o'clock, we're back with me for some Pokemon League live streaming. And so with me today is MasakoX. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Thanks. Yeah, mate. How are you doing?
So, so because you have a new puppy, you're not actually on site, so you're doing it from your laptop.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And how is the new puppy going?
She's doing all right, relatively. She's still got a long way to go, really. That's why, unfortunately, I'm having to do this relatively remotely. And unfortunately, my wife is busy playing with our nephews. So she's distracted for the next couple hours. So I'm basically out near the garden, kind of just checking out on the puppy, just make sure she doesn't go too far.
So as we've been discussing on Discord, I have a cat who's just a pain in the butt, and I think I realized it's not because we had a discussion about maybe it's because I'm home so much because of the pandemic. I think it's because my little brother moved out. It's just me, so I'm like the only person who gives him any attention. I think that's why.
Yeah, of course.
I think my little brother was absorbing it all. So now that he's not here, it's me.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, no, but it's one thing that we've noticed, actually, because my in-laws were looking after her because I had to go to a funeral on Friday. And one thing that they noted is that whenever they just had a hug or anything like that, our puppy Arthur would get very, very shouty about it, as in hey, knock it off, getting quite jealous. So that's one thing that we didn't realize, and it's one thing you don't really notice until someone else points that out to you. So we've been basically just keeping an eye on that. So at the moment, we're trying to make her a bit more independent, she can entertain herself. But right now, it's proving to be a little bit difficult because normally I could just leave her in the garden and just check up on her on the cameras every now and again, just make sure she's not in trouble. She is very much in trouble. But yeah, she's doing relatively all right. She's a bit sleepy because again we were just out with the in-laws. So yeah, basically just checking out on her. So she should be relatively sleepy. But what's right now? Oh no, she's chasing some pigeons. Yep. No, her eyesight's improving now because she's about nearly 11 weeks old. So she's now actually able to see things a bit more clearly. So she's now got her eyes on about 2 pigeons. Oh. No, she didn't get it.
Get a play-by-play.
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, I've got a good view of 90% of the garden, but typically she'll be in that 10% I can't quite see because she's a bit of a smarty pants like that. So she's going to try and be a bit of a smart aleck.
Okay, see, now I wanted a puppy. We used to have dogs, but now that I have Simon just being very needy, I had sent a message and I thought it was funny. Could we use a Pokemon link to trade our pets?
Yeah. The advanced link cable. Yeah.
Right.
It's as in I'm not really a dog person, or at least I wasn't. But basically, Arthur, who is a bearded collie, for those people who might not know, basically she's really, really good. She's very smart, sometimes too smart for her own good. So she's very much if you're training her, because we do clicker training. So basically, you train her something, and then when you do it a few times, she immediately starts doing it. So she's yeah, am I doing it right? And I'm you're not going to get the treat until I tell you to. So, don't just assume. Don't just assume I'm going to give you the treat because you do it without me telling you. So you kind of have to say, no, get back down, try that again when I tell you to. Because we're planning eventually on showing her at dog events. But again, this is not for several months or something like that because she's a puppy, she needs to play. And
I love it. So somebody posted the mayor of West City is a dog person.
Well, there you go. Exactly, like King Furry. Yeah, King Furry is the king of Earth, pretty much.
Yeah,
King of planet Earth. It's King Furry. So basically, King Furry is the dog. And in Dragon Ball the Kakarot, it's actually been there've actually been some information put about that in regards to why there are animal people there, and why there aren't any anymore.
See, I was about to mention that. It was like, I think somewhere in the game it said they took some type of formula or whatever because it was all the rage. It was a fad. And then now they're stuck that way.
Yeah, it was more along the lines. Yeah, that's true. But it was more along the lines of like, it was called Beastmen. So that's what they're referring to, is this Beastmen craze. That loads of people, they would take this formula and they become Beastmen based on their personality. And the fact was, though, is that they thought, oh, this is going to be something that changes everything. But it turned out just to be a fad. And actually, that explains why you don't really see them anymore. Like, yeah, as in, like, there aren't that many. So they either die out or they just don't get seen that much. So that probably explains why you don't see them in Super. Because in Super, they don't exist. It's just people.
Okay. I'm messing around with something. I thought that was funny. Okay. So then you have played Kakarot.
Yes, I did dabble in it on a live stream, but at the moment, it does get a little bit repetitive. So I didn't want to kind of bother my audience with just seeing the same thing over and over again. But the way I see it is that Kakarot it's a good thing that it does exist, because it is like a Dragon Ball encyclopedia. So, you have the Daizenshu, which is like the classic Bibles of Dragon Ball, whereas it has all the information and all the interviews from Toriyama back in the 90s. And it's gospel. That's what we use for our discussions quite frequently. But Kakarot is like the sort of updated version with some, clarification on certain things, like the Beastmen thing, which is actually pretty interesting. So it's almost like you want to play it to get through, to find out stuff about various, things within the Dragon world. Because you kind of get that, because we get that vibe now with Toriyama in his 60s, that he's actually, instead of doing the fast and loose approach that he's been doing for pretty much most of his career, it's actually quite being reflective and actually being very considered with his responses. Because before, if you look at any of the interviews within Daizenshu, it's very clear that, because Toriyama's not a very people person, he's very insular, he's very much of a recluse, he doesn't like talking to people. So you get that sometimes, for example, in one interview, he was asked, why does Krillin not have a nose? He's basically an earthworm because he breathes through his skin.
I mean, he has a mouth. You just don't always see him with his mouth open.
Exactly, he's not a mouth breather or anything like that. He doesn't breathe through his mouth. Basically, he breathes through his skins. Therefore, it's like you think, oh, so does that make him an earthworm or something like that? But that's just kind of the answers that Toriyama was giving back in the 90s, because he was just like, yeah, I don't want to talk to you. And nowadays, you kind of realize in Japan, sometimes these quote unquote interviews aren't necessarily actually in person. Most of the time, they are via correspondence, either via email or by the phone, and they're written in a way to make it seem like they are actually in the same room. Like with some of the interviews with Toyotaro and Toriyama in the Super manga. So there's sometimes they have Toriyama and Toyotaro in conversation, but they're not actually in the same room.
Yeah, okay. No, because I was like, well, then we go back to maybe Krillin. Well, obviously Krillin didn't do the beast thing, but maybe he's a descendant of somebody who did.
Well, the thing is that the Earth world in the Dragon world is not necessarily, for the most part, it's fairly clear-cut, it's our world. But sometimes there are things that are different. I mean, given the fact that there are dinosaurs that roam the Earth, and they make a mean dinosaur steak that, as Gohan is very partial to. But it is quite different, but at the same not so. Because I was actually listening to a discussion from Kaori Yaju on YouTube. She's only got a couple of thousand subscribers, but in a way that doesn't really matter at all, because what she was saying, because I got this tip off from Twitter, basically this person was really getting quite down on the concept that TFS would do, saying that, you know, the whole Goku's a bad parent or anything like that. And I admit that I was encouraging that quite a lot in my discussions, but Kairi Yaju was able to make it clear that, well, Toriyama is like seeing, like, you know, Goku's thing is in a different manner, in a different perspective. And because the whole thing boils down to an that TFS would do, Dazenchu, in that Toriyama was very much like saying that Goku treats his family like companions rather than actual family, whereas Vegeta is very beholden to the concept of a family. And in a way, it was a very fascinating discussion and just showing that in a way, you know, Goku is actually not a bad father. It's just like, you know, it's different horses for courses, like different cultures and different backgrounds. And it does make very much sense, because for a Saiyan, Goku is not that bad a father, because given the fact that, well, he's there for a start, and he does try. It's just does something that doesn't come naturally to him.
Oh, okay, so because I swear I saw we were talking. You had a discussion about how Goku's pretty much very uninformed, and
yes.
yeah, so like he didn't know that he committed to Chi-Chi when they were little. He didn't understand the concept. He doesn't kiss his wife. I feel like Grandpa Gohan didn't have the talk with him.
Well, the way I see it is that with Dragon Ball Super, you got to take that with a pinch of salt, because that whole thing was that Goku was really written weirdly in that series. Like, because if you feel like the late Dragon Ball Z Goku and Dragon Ball Super Goku, they don't feel like the same person. Because, granted, totally not much. There's a very good discussion about Goku having a flat character arc, and that's okay, because Goku's not the main focus of the story in terms of character development, because in a way you don't want him to develop, because, you know, it's an archetypal, iconic sort of guy. But you feel like the Dragon Ball Z Goku, especially in the Buu saga, is a guy who, again, is carefree, very, very easygoing, but at the same time, when in a crisis, you can depend on him. But in Super, he's written like an idiot. Like, he is written very brashly, very self-centered, and it's also something really like, I don't know, he just like is written for comedy relief rather than being like the strong leader, like of the Dragon team. He's just there because, like, in the Goku Black arc, it's like, oh no, I forgot the talisman, whoopsie-doo. Like, you just feel like he forgets things just for the sake of plot. It just doesn't feel right. But I suppose really it's just that it's that whole connection. But it's going back to the fact that Goku is a very loyal person to people that he cares about, and he is very much a person of honor, and that's something Gohan did teach him, as in, if you make a promise, you need to keep it. And, you know, Chi-Chi said, you made a promise to me to marry me. And he was like, well, I'm not sure really what that means, but a promise is a promise. So it's like, I was confused, but I did promise, so therefore I will honor it. So Goku is very respectful, and Gohan did teach him to be nice to girls. That was one thing that Gohan was able to teach him. Until, unfortunately, it was cut short by the fact he got squished by Goku, obviously.
Yeah, so on Twitch, Dog777 says, oh, Grandpa Gohan had the talk. It just didn't go too well.
Well, the thing is, though, is that we're not quite sure when exactly Grandpa Gohan got squished, like what age, because we first meet Goku in Dragon Ball around about the age when he's like 12. So we know that from the age of 12 he was an orphan living in the wild. But that in of itself is actually a really interesting topic, because a lot of people like just say that, oh, Goku's dumb, he's stupid, he's an idiot. Well, yes, in the concept that we most assume, because this is a really interesting one. I did do a discussion about this, is asking, is Goku smart? And you can say, yes, he is, because there is an interesting theory, and I do talk about this in the video. There are 7 ways of quantifying intelligence. And one of them, and this is the one that we most use as a barometer for intelligence, is mathematical intelligence. So basically, in terms of problem solving and all this kind of stuff, using mathematics and, simple puzzles. And unfortunately, Goku is below average in this because, Saiyans aren't really meant to be mathematicians, unless you believe in the Pioneer dub, where it's like, your father was an average fighter, Kakarot, but he was a brilliant scientist. As in, like, the old Pioneer dub Vegeta would say. But in terms of, like, there are at least 3 different intelligence quotients that, Goku is a genius. Like, kinetic intelligence, natural intelligence, and survivalist. As in, like, kinetic, as in, obviously, he is incredibly strong. Natural, as in being able to adapt to the wild, and also being a survivor. So, again, you need to watch the video to get the full lowdown on it, but essentially, 3 out of the 7 main intelligence quotients that there are, in theory, Goku is an absolute genius. It's just, unfortunately, the way we tend to define a genius in modern society, Goku does fall short in.
Okay, so anybody who wants to ask MasakoX a question. By the way, I have been criticizing how I pronounce MasakoX. Am I doing it wrong?
It's more MasakoX.
Masako. Oh, now I'm starting to wonder if it's because
it's okay.
It's MasakoX.
Yes.
See, I say Masako, but I think it's because that's the English pronunciation, right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I'm not particularly fussy about that. I'm not going to go like, oh, well, you actually pronounced it incorrectly, sir. It is actually a this. I'm like, if you want to pronounce it that way, that's fine. To be honest, I'm not much of a pedant in that sense.
Yeah, because you remember we did the interview, and one of the comments was he doesn't even pronounce his name right, and I'm like, how do you pronounce it? It's the emphasis, like what was it, Naruto, or like people criticize me on that. And I'm like, but I'm saying it the way that I heard in the American version of the cartoons. So I assume I'm correct, but
well, that's the thing. Really, it's just that there are different definitions. Sometimes it can be very tricky to like pinpoint the correct pronunciation because there's like 3 for Naruto in of itself. Like, if you want to say it absolutely correctly based on the Japanese, it's Naruto. So basically, if you want to say it like that, that is the most accurate. If you want to say Naruto, that is fully acceptable. Naruto is the most commonly known one. But so long as you don't say Naruto, because it's like, that's Naruto as in the donuts. And then it's like, Naruto's a form of bread. What? No, that's not right. So that's the thing. There are at least 3 acceptable ways of saying Naruto, but Naruto, that one, is like the most, tolerable. Most people are that, that's fine. But if you want to be like, it's like, for Goku is the most well known, but if you want to say Goku, as in it's like, it's more of the emphasis on the ku rather than the go. But Goku, that's just well known. That's fine. And it's like with the whole Saiyan thing. Because if you hear in the Japanese sub, it's Saiyajin, so it's meant to be Saiyan. But, most people know it as Saiyan. So to say it as Saiyan is, it's fine. It's absolutely acceptable. So that's the thing. So in terms of people, the way the dialect said, it's just more about the person who is actually the thing. But if people say Masako or Masako, I'm like not that bothered. I've had people say MasakoX.
What?
Yeah, no, MasakoX is one, and I don't get uppity about that because, to be fair, a lot of like social media platforms don't allow me to actually like capitalize and do uppercase and lowercase. So
for like enunciating, okay.
Yeah, so unfortunately, that I can't. On some platforms, I can't do uppercase or lowercase. So it does mean, unfortunately, it does make things a little bit tricky when you're actually spelling out. So you go MasakoX. Oh, well, like MasakoX? No. Massive Cox? No, that's not how you say it. cheeky you, don't be naughty. It's like, you said it, not me. So,
Okay, so Dog777 has a question for you. And I'm going to read the whole thing. There's a question, and then it kind of goes into a side note. He says, I want to say Masako?
yeah, that's fine.
Well, which one did you prefer?
I'm saying I don't have a particular preference.
Okay, because we went through the Naruto thing, and I totally your name just fell out my other side. It's just like
that's okay. But Masako is the most typical one.
Okay, so he goes Masako. What next in voice acting? He says, side note, I love the line you gave Goku during the Cell fight during a bridge about how Cell would never pass that up because I wouldn't. I love your work through the series. Although, speaking of favorite lines, mine was, I pay my taxes like one leg at a time like everyone else. Well, anyway, back to his...
no, absolutely. Oh, yeah, no, of course. So
what's next in voice acting?
Again? What was the question again?
What's next in voice acting?
Oh, well, hard to say, really.
Because you're doing R&R.
Yes, but that's more of a project. That's more of like, because one of these days I really want to do like an original project, like an original story, an original IP. But I feel like with R&R, that's like a good interim project. Like, it's set in a Dragon Ball world, which people are familiar with, but it uses original scenarios and a couple of original characters. So it's like a mix of the two. So it's just to kind of get people used to the style that myself and my co-writer Haverock, are writing styles, to get people used to it and to see whether people respond well to it. And fortunately, people do respond well. And in our what if stories, that's a similar thing too. So, like, there's a what if that I do called What If Frieza Turned Good? And that's basically like taking in like the likes of Cowboy Bebop and Outlaw Star, and then putting in Frieza about whether he might turn good. And most people go, well, wait a minute, Frieza can't turn good. He's not good. And you think, well, you're absolutely correct there. That's very true. But you need to find a way, if you would ever turn good, what is the most likely scenario and setting and circumstances that would allow that to happen? So, for instance, again, you can take a listen to this on the Up on the Lookout podcast that I have on various podcasting platforms or on my YouTube channel. But suffice to say is that the only way that Frieza could ever hope to go towards the good side, not go fully to it, is for him to actually have everything that he knows taken away from him. As in, like, he needs to basically be stripped of his title, have nothing left, and he would have to start anew. No rosé wine for him. So that you need to have that adventure of him being a drifter and him eventually trying to piece everything back together.
Okay, so we have another question. Zekin1000 says, in the dub of the proposal scene, they cut the entire promise thing, and Goku said something like, sometimes my brain doesn't know what my mouth says. Good thing my heart does, want to get married. So the dub changed it to him being more emotionally mature. What do you think? He says he really liked that they changed it.
Yeah, I actually like that because it's been a while since I've seen the original Dragon Ball, but now that you brought that up again, it reminds me of that. And it's like, it feels, that's actually a really good line because it just shows that, yeah, I know, I'm maybe not that smart, but at the same time, I don't want to upset people. Like, as in, I know what's right in my heart. It feels very schmaltzy, but at the same time, it's actually a really solid response. As in, like, I like making people happy, and if this will make you happy, I'm cool with that. And that's actually a really sweet line, given the fact that Goku's relatively straightforward, and it's like, he does have that Saiyan honor without realizing he's a Saiyan, as in, like, he honors the promise that he made as a child, and he holds his childhood very, very dearly, and he liked Chi-Chi. He thought Chi-Chi was cool, and he made the promise. Why would he change it? So it's actually a really good line. I'm all for that line.
Okay, so what do you think? Because we're talking about the manga is doing the Moro saga, and
yes.
we haven't. We kind of. Well, there's rumors that the series is coming back in some form. Now, I haven't read the manga, so how far are they into that? And do you think they would be able to take that as written and pretty much put it into this series, or do you think they would need to modify it for the television audience?
Well, in terms of that, in terms of where they are right now, you get the feeling that right now they've gone into like a final transformation of the main villain. I won't spoil too much, but you feel like they're now approaching the end game, like maybe 1 or 2 more chapters. So you feel like they're very close. But I feel like what they're doing right now is trying to go back to the old model of storytelling in Dragon Ball, because for the longest time there'd be like several months gap between the manga and the anime, meaning that the anime is adapting the manga, whereas Super, the manga and the anime has sort of been their own thing, and that didn't really work that well. It was very disjointed, as it were. So you get the feeling that now maybe they're waiting for certain things to kind of align themselves and to wait for the entire arc to finish before making any commitments towards the series. So my best bet is that they're going to be working on probably 1 more movie and then announce the series like they did with Resurrection F. Because it means that they have the content in the Moro saga, because admittedly, the Moro arc is actually probably one of the best arcs of Super, in fact not the best. It just depends on how the ending goes. But so far, the character of Moro is actually very interesting. I'll try and keep this as spoiler-free as I can, but Moro is one of those characters who doesn't like fighting for the sake of fighting. Like, he just fights as a means to an end. And that's something that Goku cannot abide by nor understand, because most fighters have some sense of honor and a desire to fight, or they then acquire it. Like Frieza. He basically was that powerful because he was born that way. And initially he doesn't like to fight, but then he gets the kick. He gets the bug to fight. So then boy, he does. But Moro, he doesn't see it that way. He sees fighting as just something he has to do in order to get what he wants. And that's something that Goku hates. And then when Goku senses Moro's ki for the first time, instead of being excited to fight him, he is scared. And Goku being scared of somebody just from sensing their energy, that's a big deal. So you get the feeling that Moro's place in the story is very, very unusual, in the sense that, he is causing Goku to feel different things, and that in of itself is very unorthodox. So you feel like the vibe is very, very different.
Okay, so Dog 777 asked, Moro turns good confirmed. Now, this is just what I know. Moro was a prisoner who was locked up for a very long time. Could he have been falsely accused and falsely imprisoned? Because you just said he doesn't like fighting, which makes me go, is he supposed to be Gandhi? What is the? No. Well, okay, go ahead and explain it.
Okay. No, sure, absolutely. Well, basically, Moro is a straight-up necromancer / warlock. So he is a straight-up magic user, and warlocks and magicians basically want power, they want domination, and they basically want these things, and they don't care how they get it.
So you're saying like Bibbidi and Bobbidi?
Yes. Exactly. Okay. In fact, there was a theory going around for a while initially that Moro may have been the guy who taught Bibbidi. Because this is like 10 million years ago. So it would have been around the time when Bibbidi might have been around, the father of Bobbidi. So you feel like, wouldn't it have been cool that Moro was the guy who taught Bibbidi, and therefore taught him about the concept of Majin Buu? Or maybe even be the person who created Majin Buu. So that would have been a very interesting tidbit, but that never happened, unfortunately. That would have been actually really cool. But you feel like, no. Moro, for the fact is, he just wants power. He just wants to rule. So basically, he doesn't care how he does it. So it's not like he doesn't want to fight. He doesn't care. He only fights because he has to. But basically, if the path was clear, he would just suck up energy, absorb it, and use it to his own ends. That's pretty much how it goes.
Okay. So we've been at this for a little bit more than half hour, so I think it's time for a puppy check. How's the puppy?
Puppy check. It's like
he lost him. You found him? Okay.
No, she has now discovered the cat, and they are staring at each other, giving each other a wide berth. They're about within 2 feet of each other. No hissing yet. There has been a couple of boops on the nose, so basically stalemate right now.
Okay. So Dog 777 really active here. He basically had no idea that there was even a consideration between Bibbidi Bobbidi and Bo. It blew his mind, he's basically saying here. So, I mean, I didn't even either. Again, I'm not reading the manga. I watched your videos, and there's a couple other people who are covering it. So, you get a sense of what's going on here. But because you start with the Broly movie, which I hope they do turn into, because I did with the other two movies, turn it into part of the series. I would like to see a nice way where everything kind of just comes together at the end.
Right.
Right, because I think that would be a great approach.
I have to disagree with you on that, because one of the problems of Super and the reason why it didn't gain traction is because they adapted the two movies into the series. Because they spent 6 months going back over the movies, plots that we'd already seen, and they didn't really add much. Like, there wasn't really any more insight into what you'd expect, and obviously the signs were not that good when in April 2015 they announced that Dragon Ball Super is a thing. They don't even have a logo, and I'm like, you're about to release this in 2 months' time and you don't even have a logo. Right, okay. And then they do an animated promo where a third of the footage is something you never see in the anime, like a shot of Beerus and Champa meeting and then having an argument. You never see that in the anime. So it was really handled poorly. And unfortunately, honestly, the reason they didn't adapt it, and this is a crucial thing, in the manga, they never adapted it into the manga. There was an acknowledgement that it did happen, but that was it. The movie is its own thing. And to be honest, there's not really much else you can do. It's like they go to Vampa, they find Broly, they bring him there, they fight on Earth in the Arctic, and then they reconcile. And you end the story with Broly Goku realizing, oh, instead of going to these other universes, which is what he wants to do at the beginning of the movie, he realizes, oh, Universe 7 still has something to offer in the form of Broly. So I don't need to go to these other universes to find strong people to train with. And Goku's main mission now is to train Broly and to make him love fighting, because for the longest time, Broly was only fighting because his father told him to. He didn't get any enjoyment out of it. And therefore, it meant that he didn't want to fight, because you feel like in the movie, Broly is the main antagonist, and you get behind him and you feel sorry for him, and that's how Broly should have always been. But you feel like Goku is the one being the main antagonist against him because he's being very aggressive. And then with Gogeta in the end, he's basically straight up about to kill him, regardless of the fact that Broly is out of control. And you realize just before Gogeta is about to actually kill him, Broly then regains his senses, and you go, he's actually terrified. Because you notice that bit where he gets his pupils back. Oh no, he now realizes what's going on and is now really scared out of his mind. He's about to vaporize. So then Gila gets the wish, and they're able to, reset, as it were. So realistically, if they were retelling the Broly movie in the anime, it would just be repeating the same mistake.
So you're
arc with maybe like a slight recap of the Broly movie or something to maybe even put it on, like, just to air the Broly movie on TV before the series. That'd be the best thing to do.
I was gonna say, because could you imagine maybe some points they could add to it to make it? I mean, because they did, as you said, and they tweaked the movie stories in the series a little bit. So there was like a little extra you would get if you watched the movie, and then you watched the series. You go, okay, this is different. I mean, could they add anything to the Broly movie to be a saga that you think would be worth watching again?
Not really, because the first third of the movie, the first half an hour, is mainly a flashback to Dragon Ball Minus. So you wouldn't really recover that, because that'd just be going back on what you've already seen. And so you cut out. So the movie's 1:40, so you cut out there, so that's an hour and 10. And then 40 minutes of the movie is basically fighting. As in, it's just the fight.
It's a good fight, though. It's super good.
It's a good fight. Yes, it's a very good fight. As in, it goes on so long, you get really exhausted, still enjoying it. So that's really only half an hour of extra content, which is like maybe an episode and a half. So the only way you could even possibly make it vaguely tight and acceptable is to make it a mini arc. Like, it's a 5-episode mini arc, mainly. So that's the way you can maybe add something to it, but not too much. So that's the best way you can go about it.
Okay, so Zekin 1000 asks, Masako, whatever. I've heard that you saying in the past that you wanted Cumber, which I think is from Heroes, right, to be beefed up, to be a beefed up Raditz. But Cumber brings in lore from olden times, the ancient Saiyans, Yamoshi, and stuff. He recognized Goku Super Saiyan God form. And if you look at Dragon Ball Legends, the ancient Saiyans are expanded upon. Just bringing back Raditz would bring forth none of this. Don't you agree?
Granted, that is very true, but you have to remember that Super Dragon Ball Heroes is there to sell cards. So, yes. The thing is, though, and this is something the Moral Arc has been doing very well, and this is something I like to call vertical integration. And by vertical, that I mean, as in the Moral Arc, instead of making countless numbers of new worlds and new civilizations that people don't necessarily have a connection to, that's horizontal, as in expanding the lore, outwards to things that you may not necessarily be invested in. So instead of that, they're using vertical integration in that they're expanding what we already know. So actually learning more of the people that you know. So for example, you see a couple more people of the race that Zarbon's from. So you feel like, oh, cool. There's more people from Zarbon's planet. That's awesome. You see more people from the worlds of Pui Pui, that one minion of Barbades. And you feel, oh, that's cool. The Zunians, that's what they're called. So you feel, oh, so they're called the Zunians. Oh, that's awesome. That's cool. We know where Pui Pui came from. And the Yardratians, because Vegeta goes to Yardrat to train. And you actually get to see Yardrat and spend some time there. So you feel like with Toyotaro leading the story, you feel like, that's interesting. Because we're learning more of the stuff we know from being from a kid or from 20 years ago. So you feel like, that's neat. That is something I can get behind. So, granted, you learn a bit more about the ancient Saiyans, but Cumber does not have any personality at all. Yeah, you're basically told he is an ancient Saiyan, basically. So you feel like, yeah, okay, but you don't really learn much of Cumber. You don't see Cumber from when he was an ancient Saiyan. You don't get a flashback. You don't learn things. You're just told, oh, he's an ancient Saiyan who's really powerful, who's too powerful, you have to contain him. So you feel like, well, okay, if you're being very minimalist in that regard, why don't you just make him a beefed up Raditz from another timeline, and he's basically fighting Goku, it's a rematch. And you feel like, that would sell cards, because you're getting Raditz in, you're giving him a power-up, you're giving him Super Saiyan even, you're making him even a Zaru Raditz against Goku. You feel like that would be so cool to see Raditz do more and to have a rematch and maybe winning. So you feel like that connection, that investment that people have in Raditz, just even feeling sorry for the guy, do you feel like there was a missed opportunity there? So I feel like in Super Dragon Ball Heroes, you need to really take the mission brief in that it's meant to be there are no rules. Canon doesn't exist. Go nuts. So you feel like you need to go nuts in the sense of what is even possible in Dragon Ball. So it's like with the first promos you got with Dragon Ball Heroes back in 2010 of seeing Super Saiyan 3 Trunks. And immediately when you see that promo, it's like, oh, okay, this is what I'm in for. This is what I'm expecting. This is basically Dragon Ball. There are no rules. You can tear the rule book up. Anybody can get any power. So, yeah, you need to do that. So you need to basically take the storybook from Dragon Ball and plaster over it with crayon.
Have you been watching the new season of Heroes? Because the last episode I saw was one where they finished up Hearts, and then they show off this new version of Trunks and in the group, and then Few does his evil maniacal thing, and that's where I left off. So I mean, it's still going, right? It's still a thing.
Yes, I dropped off it on episode 13 because basically I had enough of it. So I was like, I'm getting really bored of this. This is not engaging me at all. So unfortunately, it's not something that I really invested in. And seriously, and then I did catch up with it. And you feel like with Hearts, he's so bland. But then at the same time, the most interesting character in the Super Dragon Ball Heroes to me was the likes of Lags, one of his minions, who's basically a glass girl. The glass girl, Lags, has a very interesting moveset, and there is a manga that contains her, that has her in it. And her ultimate attack is a crystal dragon. Now already, a crystal dragon, that sounds amazing. Now, one thing you could do in Super Dragon Ball Heroes, and I feel like you were missing a trick here, is that in the anime, they could have had her, a crystal dragon, going up against Super Saiyan 3 Dragon Fist. So, Golden Shenron versus Crystal Dragon. Two dragons fighting each other. How cool would that be? How many cards could you sell? That in it itself would generate a lot of hype. Because Dragon Fist, probably one of the most memorable attacks in the series.
Okay, so we're halfway through today, so I'm gonna do the quick. Here's the charity bit. So first off, again, we are fundraising for Orange Out Foundation. They are a charity based out of Texas that provides meals, toys for kids, just general support for cancer patients. You can donate with the link at the bottom of the screen. You can also check out their website at orangeout.org. I say that going, wait a minute, where's my script? But I'm pretty sure that's correct. You can also join us if you want to join the voice chat. Please be gentle. There's a Discord over there where we're in the panel room. So if you have a voice question you want to ask, you can do that way. Otherwise, go ahead and post your question in the chats on YouTube and Discord, Discord, but YouTube, Twitch, and Mixer, and then I'll ask Miss Masako. It feels dirty to say. I'm sorry. I can't. It's Naruto.
It's fine. I'm not holding you against
it. We're calling Naruto X because I feel better about it.
Well, it is funny because I did do Naruto Abridged, but honestly, it's fine. You be comfortable how you say it.
What voice were you in Naruto Abridged?
Well, I was the editor and one of the co-writers.
Oh, okay. I was just like, Yeah, because I don't.
I can give you.
Go ahead.
Well, I can give you the vague. In that mainly I voiced the main characters I've voiced the most was Sasuke, Kakashi, Hinata, Tsunade, Ino, Kiba. Yeah.
Well, that is a lot of voices. I'm kind of curious what your Sasuke and Kakashi are.
Well, Goku's pretty much up here. He's very happy-go-lucky. He's very chill. Whereas with Sasuke, he was pretty much just like an emo kid. Like, I was just Sasuke. I hate the log and all that kind of stuff. Very, very, very demure. Very 2000. And actually, the curious thing enough is that voice originally came from a high school host club, a fan dub that I was in. Ironically, with Peanut Butter Gamer back in the day. And we voiced the Hitachin twins, Kaoru and Hikaru. So, they voice kind of like similar like that. But so basically with Sasuke, you have to give him. Then with Kakashi, he basically doesn't care about anything. He's very apathetic. It's like, you guys are like Team 7, but I don't really care. and then there was just this shot of like Kakashi looking at this, like, it's from episode 2 when Naruto gets the squits, and he looks at this carton of milk, he shakes it, and is like, hey, this expired like 2 weeks ago. And so basically we turn that into like Kakashi likes milk. So it's like, I like milk. Moo. Just that was one of his bits, and that was one of the classic catchphrases of Kakashi from Naruto Abridged. And then basically with Kiba and Neji, they basically just we made them into Bill and Ted. So Bill and Ted, that was their shtick, even though they barely interacted with one another. So that was one of their gimmicks.
So like bogus and radical and whatnot.
Well,
bodacious.
Dude. I mean, Kiba just sounded like dude, and then Neji was like, "All right, that's excellent, man." Like, we just made them dudes.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay. So it's like the questions dried up already. Wow, because we have looks like between the things we have about 10 people. And no one has questions. Okay.
Well, I think basically I was able to be quite succinct in my answers already in of itself.
Okay, so how far did you? Oh wait, what? Go ahead.
No, go on. Sorry, I think you cut out there.
I was going to say how far did you get in Dragon Ball Z Kakarot? You said you stopped because it got repeated, because it did add DLC that has Super Saiyan God storyline in it. I haven't gotten that far yet. I just finished the opening of the Buu saga. Where they steal Gohan's his power to resurrect Buu. That is where I stopped in the game so far. So how far did you get? Because I mean, it is repetitious. I don't get that wrong. You do the same things over and over and over again. And then, like, at a certain point, they reset some of the stuff you did. Like, I took out all the bases for the first half of the game, and then by taking out all of the super powered goons, you unlock you unlock characters you previously defeated. But it just does this over and over again.
Well, the thing is that I got up to about the Vegeta, the end of the Vegeta fight. And I did get into a little bit of the Namek saga, and like kind of that's kind of neat. But unfortunately, I then got onto the fact that I was getting in. Well, the current COVID situation happened, and then basically we were having to kind of consolidate what we were doing. We have a TFS, and so we were having to like have all hands on deck for, and then kind of dealing with my channel. So I had to streaming. So that was kind of something I had to kind of take a break on. But now that things are starting to kind of get relatively back to normal, I can get back to the game. Because I do want to go through it. Because the thing is that this isn't a game I just want to blast through in 20 hours. I want to basically get through this game and take my time with it. And that's not conducive to streaming, because basically what I'm wanting to do is pass through it like it's a guide. So I want to kind of just like understand everything about it. So I want to like do this in my own time, take down notes, and then come back with a discussion video to go like, hey, if you weren't able to get through the game, you had to rush through it, here are some cool things that we learned from the game. So this is a mission of discovery rather than a game you want to speed run through.
Okay, so I do have a question. Zeka1000 says, why don't you do what ifs for other shows? He says, look at the success of Totally Not Mark had when he was reviewing One Piece.
Yeah, I mean, that is certainly something I would consider doing, but the trouble is, though, this is something I was actually dealing with when I started my channel, like in its current guise, is that the thing is, though, you want to have a voice on YouTube, but at the same time, though, you don't want to go in there with half of the information, like half baked, as it were. So you don't really want to go in without really understanding it all entirely, because there's an old saying that I really like. It's better to know everything about something or know. To only know a little is certain doom. So basically, it's better to know nothing or know everything, or at least close to everything as possible. To only know a little about something means you leave yourself open to mistakes. So that's why at the beginning of Dragon Ball, when I was doing my discussions, I made mistakes, and I had to battle through that, and it was really, really tricky. Like, there were quite a few times I almost gave up because I felt like I'm not doing a good enough job. So I had to step up. So a lot of people have been like saying, because I've been dropping in facts, I watch JoJo and I'm a JoJo fan. They're saying, oh, cool, why don't you do JoJo what ifs on your channel? I'm like, well, yeah, but I don't know enough about it to justify it. I mean, I'm getting to the point of understanding the show enough to do like, well, okay, how would Goku react if he was in JoJo? What part would suit him best? So I'm starting to gain confidence in myself to be able to do a good video into like, okay, what would his stand be? What part might suit him best? And I just want to do any potential videos I do justice.
You want to do it right the first time.
Yeah, well, or at least the second time. Just don't strike out too often. Otherwise, you kind of lose credibility.
Okay. So Caleb NJ4 asks, do you think Vegeta would ever surpass Goku at some point? I thought in the Moro Saga he had, but I'm not reading it. I'm just secondhand being told.
Yeah, I feel like he already has, and Goku has acknowledged it that he has in some way, because he's proud of Vegeta for doing that. So he is very, very proud that Vegeta has managed to find a way to surpass himself. And he did say that in Resurrection F. Like, in terms of gaining the Super Saiyan Blue power, he was saying, well, no, he was able to learn that on his own. Like, go through sheer determination, Vegeta was able to find a way. Like, for example, in the Tournament of Power, he finds Super Saiyan Blue Evolution. So, like, Super Saiyan Blue Grade 2. He finds that on his own. And he also is able to counter the fact that he doesn't need Ultra Instinct because he is incredibly smart and calculating as a fighter. So he's able to kind of like find a way to be able to adapt and actually block and dodge Jiren just by sheer understanding and knowledge of his fighting opponent. So yeah, Vegeta has absolutely the tools to be able to outdo Goku. It's just a case of Goku gets these powers relatively quickly, but then Vegeta is able to find a way to get past it through sheer grit.
Oh, Vegeta is a tactician, though. I mean, he could probably... I mean, Goku... Oh, how do I put this? He's not a thinker, but, I mean, Vegeta definitely is, and I feel like Vegeta really should have had the advantage a long time ago, but I don't know, like... Goku doesn't put any real thought behind anything, and yet somehow still comes ahead. It boggles my mind because logically it makes no sense.
Well, I think the way you can best describe it is that Goku has just the sheer natural talent, whereas Vegeta has the he has the body and mindset to break through it. Like, Vegeta has to try much harder to get the same powers that Goku does, whereas Goku has innately got the powers, and it does help also that he's the main. Let's just say that he has main character.
I was gonna say, I think he may have dropped. Hold on one sec.
Well, basically, I was just saying that Goku has the power of main character no jutsu, whereas Vegeta kind of have to work slightly harder for the same gains. But he can get said gains.
Okay, so Dog777 has another question. It says, in regards to DBZ Abridged being over, what parts do you wish you got to do? How would the team handle the voice acting for fusions? And that's a good question. I actually would like to know that. And then can you think of a few funny ways fusion could be handled? But what's your take?
Well, there were a couple of things I do remember that the team was considering when they were like spitballing the Boo Saga. And the one thing I'm really looking forward to, I was saying through transformation and the way vaguely, the situation where Goku's explaining all the different Super Saiyan transformations with Boo. So he goes, "This is Super Saiyan," goes Super Saiyan 2. "This is a Super Duper Saiyan," and this goes into that. "This is a Super Duper Saiyan," and that's Super Saiyan 3. So basically, they don't say Super Saiyan 2 or 3. Goku has Super Saiyan, Super Duper Saiyan, and Super Duper Saiyan. So you get that little nod to it where Vegeta says, "Well, if he's become a Super Duper Saiyan, then I shall become a Super..."
That's a weird hang right there. I don't know if you can hear me, but you dropped, I think. Huh. Okay, hold on one sec.
Monday has a crush on Gohan. So basically, the time when...
Here, hold on a sec. Your connection's kind of wonky.
Unfortunately, it's kind of like getting into the prime time around here.
Oh, okay, that's right. You're like 5 hours ahead of me, and you're on Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like on Wi-Fi. I'm not land. Hello.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so what you were talking about? We lost you at the part where you were like, and then Vegeta said he's going to become a Super Duper whatever. What would the term be for Vegeta surpassing Super Saiyan 3 in abridged?
I don't know. My best guess would be supercalifragilisticexpialidocious Saiyan.
Okay. Okay, so Lucids13 says, "Have you seen Baki the Grappler? It's on Netflix." He says it's amazing.
Unfortunately, I haven't really, but I've seen that Netflix has been getting a lot of anime lately. So I'm definitely going to be able to sit down and really catch up on a lot of those things, because I've noticed that Food Wars is on there and I've been watching that on Crunchyroll. So it'd be really good and really convenient, because my TV doesn't really have a Crunchyroll. That extra convenience is like, that's really cool, that's great. So I can actually have that on my list. So that's neat. Don't need VPN for Food Wars anymore.
Yeah, because when I got
I'll add that to my list.
Yeah, so when I got my new TV because I got a 4K TV back in November, I loaded it up and I go through the things and I was like, wait a minute, there's no Crunchyroll and there was no Disney Plus. So I actually sent Vizio. I said, hey, can I have these? Like, I could just order them or something. And they're like, well, we're going to add Disney Plus, but there's no demand for Crunchyroll. I'm like, what? Do people who like anime not buy your TVs? I don't understand. Like, I should be able to install anything I need on your TV.
Well, the thing is, though, it really depends, honestly, is that the best thing to do, and this is what Sony's doing, is that they have Android, they power their smart TVs with Android. So long as, providing there is an Android app for that, in theory, on Sony TVs, you can sideload those types of stuff, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
But, at the very least, there is a Crunchyroll app for PS4. So there is that, and you can use Chromecast via your phone. So
or you can just stream it off your phone.
Yeah, you can beam it off your phone, of course.
Yeah. So Lucids13 said, if you do decide to watch Baki the Grappler, make sure you catch the 2001 series first, because I guess maybe it leads into it. He doesn't really explain. He just says it's super high octane action orientated. So, but then there is a question from Caleb NJ4 who says, now, this is one of these what ifs things. He says, how would you feel about a female Vegeta and Piccolo relationship? I don't know how you want to take that. That feels like pregnant Sonic the Hedgehog take.
Well, that's funny, because one of the side gags of my channel is that loads of people want me to do a what if Vegeta was female. We keep rebuffing it, because it's just like, well, the fact is, though, and this is something that's really true, because I do a what if Goku was female. And the one thing that I always tend to say with characters is that the mark of a good character means that whatever gender they are, it doesn't really matter. It's almost like a side thing. Like, you have this cool character, they're really engaging, you really think they're quite likable, or they do really good stuff, they just so happen to be male, or they just so happen to be female. It's just like an extra facet. It's not something that truly defines them. So that's the way I see it. So with the what if Goku was female thing, 80% of what Goku is already in of itself is, already defined. It's just there are only a few things that change. Like, for example, Bulma is more kind of like partial to socialize with Goku because she's like a city girl. She likes going shopping. She likes makeup. She likes boys. She likes strawberries. Meeting a girl who she can basically take under her wing. That's something she really, really finds cool. So there are some subtle differences there. But in terms of the main core of the character, sorry,
the dating Krillin thing is totally different.
Well, no, not necessarily. Basically, it's just like with the Krillin thing. They are already really best friends and really close already as, two bros. So you feel like with Goku as a Saiyan, doesn't really understand human relationships already, even in his original guise. But with Goku as a female, she's just like, well, what I really want in terms of a companion is a friend, basically, that I get on with. That's the way she defines, like, because Krillin has a crush on Goku. She doesn't understand it. And then Krillin gets to the point where, look, you're kind of leading me on. I don't know what to think. And then she's like, well, what do you think, Goku? And it's like, well, the way I see it, I just want a friend. I want a companion. I want someone to be with and, like, have adventures with. That's what Goku wants in some kind of relationship and whatever she interprets it as. So in that sense, Krillin's like, you know what, I can get behind that. It's not complicated. It's not, because Goku's not complicated. So you want something that's very straightforward and something that feels like, yeah, it's nice, it's wholesome, it's very, very quaint. Something that is not muddled in loads of confusion. So that's the way I see it.
See, now, going back to the female Vegeta question, I feel like the Saiyan royalty was very, very father or male orientated, patriarchal. So I feel like maybe Vegeta wouldn't be a female ever because maybe they would genetically alter that possibility to ensure that the male line is continued.
No, I feel like the thing is though, they are basically a monarchy. So basically with King Vegeta is that, granted, the situation being, so basically Vegeta was born female. And this is the way it'll take. So if you're listening to this, you're pretty much getting more than what the channel did. The way I would see it is that if Vegeta was born female, there would be like disappointment. But King Vegeta would then realize the battle power in her is incredibly strong. So that is something. It's not a total loss. So King Vegeta would never be too proud. It's like, denying life or anything like that. Basically, it'd be just like, he'd be a bit disappointed, but then realize, no, wait, her battle power is incredible. And then basically be like, I want to see where this goes. I want to see whether she'd be actually a very powerful queen to then marry to a Saiyan elite. So basically hold his horses. And then when it become clear with Tarball's a disappointment. And it's a very funny mistranslation, is that in the Yo Son Goku and his friends return thing, and this is something I got from Kairi Yaju on YouTube, and this is something I never realized until she said it, was that Tarball was not sent to a distant planet, he was sent to a distant star. So you feel like, okay, I kind of see what they were trying to say, like a different solar system, but the way that it's a different star, no, King Vegeta was like, no, just program him into a star, send him flying into a sun, let him burn up the disappointment. And then the scientists are going, are you sure, King Vegeta? Is that really wise? So they kind of were like, yeah, I'm pretty sure the king doesn't mean that. Let's just put him on a planet. So, yeah, I feel like in that scenario with Tarball turning out to be
we're just waiting for the connection to come back. Wi-Fi at peak hour.
Therefore, King Vegeta the Fourth would be, that's our Vegeta that we know. King Vegeta the Third is what we know as King Vegeta. So there had been two Vegetas before then.
Okay, so we have a question here. It says, "What if there was a Frieza Black or slash a Frieza Black saga?"
Oh, so basically, is that instead of okay? I mean, I could see the parallel with like Goku versus Frieza instead of a Goku Black thing. It'd be a very interesting thing in a scenario like how, like maybe Zamasu would say, instead of pitting you against yourself, I pit you against your greatest enemy. But I feel like at the same time, it would be totally intriguing. But given the fact that we basically had Resurrection F, that saga, and the saga in Super didn't go down too well, you feel like, really? That didn't go down too well. You're experiencing fatigue with Frieza, and when Frieza was confirmed for the Tournament of Power, there was a collective groan amongst the fandom, and you feel like, oh, really? So there was that groan, and that was after like a year of absence from Frieza. So if you basically had him in the next arc and it's the Frieza Black saga, you feel like, yeah, okay, hold up, Toei. You're over-egging the pudding here. Like, stop. It's time to stop. So you feel like that would have been overly excessive, but thematically, I can see some sort of appeal in that sense.
Okay, so Dog777 has a question. It says, "What were your thoughts when the Elder Kai used the Porteras to fuse with the witch?" Now, if I remember correctly, the witch actually grabbed the earring and put it on her ear, so it was not on purpose.
Oh, no. No, the Elder Kai didn't do that. He basically got tricked in. He got hoodwinked into that. So the witch basically fused with the Elder Kai, who was the Supreme Kai. So basically, she had an earring on. She put an earring on him. And then basically they fused together. But at the same time, she didn't then take into account how Pataras work. And basically, Patara fusions don't necessarily do the whole double voice thing and double personality. It's whoever has the dominant personality reigns supreme. That's why Kibito Kai didn't have a double voice, because Kibito's personality was vastly superseded by Shin. So the Supreme Kai, that was his personality just fused into Kibito Kai. So you get that. And with the Elder Kai, it was the same thing. The Elder Kai was a higher being, had a higher personality, higher brain capacity. So therefore, Elder Kai kept his same personality and brain. He was the dominant personality, but he had the appearance of being older than he actually is. So, and with Vegeta, basically Goku and Vegeta have similarly warring personalities that are relatively equal, so therefore, double voice.
Okay, so Zekin1000 asks, what do you think Toriyama's, not Toyoto's, next Dragon Ball story is going to be about? Because in 2018 Jump Fest, Masako Nozawa did say she hoped she could be part of Toriyama's next project. I
don't know about that really. She's very, very engaged with what's going on with the whole situation, and they do talk at great lengths at what they do do loads of good interviews together. But so they do have a very common and that would make sense really, because she is Goku and Toriyama would want her opinion because she's been voicing the character for nearly 4 years. So I feel like they would she probably does have a lot of input, because whenever they announce something Dragon Ball related, they are very quick to confirm who is the producer, and yes, Masako Nozawa is voicing in it. So they are very quick to say that she is the first confirmation in any Dragon Ball project.
Okay, so just to follow up on one previous question, Dog777 says, does this mean that the Elder Kai is she-male, or perhaps the opposite, whatever that would be? Do you think that either the dominant gender took over, or and this is a little because you obviously can't know, so
well, I think I can tell you that. I can tell you this because
okay.
Supreme Kais for a start do not have any gender. They are basically born from the Great Kai tree. They are fruit people.
They are genderless.
They're fruit. That's what they are. They're fruit. They're basically they are born from a great tree, and it's the Great Kai. It's the Great Kai tree, and basically they are born. All the people that live on the sacred world of the Kais are born from that tree, and depending on the quality of the fruit, you are either a common person like Kibito, the attendant to Shin, you are either a Kai, like King Kai, or one of the Compass Kais, or you are one of the Golden Fruit, a Shinjin, which can live for, on average, 75,000 years, and potentially could become a Supreme Kai. So Shin is the last one to be born from that tree who is complete in Universe 7 that can be considered a Supreme Kai. And Elder Kai was the same. So essentially, with the Elder Kai being the dominant personality, the Elder Kai is genderless. He is a walking, talking piece of fruit.
Okay, so Caleb NJ4 asks, how would you handle a what if Tarble wasn't abandoned?
We talk about this quite a lot often, actually. And basically the way we would do it is group, like he basically would be working in with Bulma, and he'd be one of those people king and stuff like that, legit. He'd be like one of the backroom people helping Bulma. He'd be that kind of person in any kind of movie. He'd be like, type on the keyboard, I'm in. Like that kind of stuff.
He'd be a hacker?
He'd be one of those hacker people. He'd basically be like Tank and Dozer in the Matrix movies.
Okay, so...
He'd be like, operator.
Okay, so Zekin1000 asks, do you think GT will ever be canonized? Although, that brings me to a video, because I posed that question in a video to you. Basically, how I think they could incorporate GT's story into Super, or whatever the next series would be. Basically, dropping, because you kind of have to drop a couple of parts of it, especially that long-winded, early opening. But do you think there's any chance of any of it getting canonized? And then question 2 from Zekin is, do you think there would ever be a new Super Saiyan form if the show returns?
Well, I don't think in the Moro arc we're going to get a Saiyan say. Ultra Instinct is pretty much the highest you can go.
Because, I mean, Ultra Instinct is basically a god form, so where else is there? It's like the highest level. Like, Beerus can get to that level if he really wanted to. Can you go higher than even that? That's so weird, right? Like,
I don't think you can. It's all about how you learn it. And the interesting thing is with Ultra Instinct, anybody can get it, so long as they do do the training. So Gohan can get it. Krillin can get it if he trained properly. But in terms of Super Saiyan transformations, not necessarily. But in terms of the GT stuff, I don't think so. Basically, but at the same time, Toei's never going to go flat out saying GT is irrelevant. They would never say that because in Japan, it still makes money. Elements from GT still make money. Baby is still very popular. Super Saiyan 4, incredibly popular.
That's why they still release toys.
Yeah, it makes a lot of money. So basically, the best thing to do is to milk the nostalgia of Super Saiyan 4 and Baby and all that stuff. Even the Shadow Dragon. Make them into cards. Include them in games. Include that because it's part of the show's overall lore. Even if it's not part of the main timeline of Super. You just need to do that and keep it to Super Heroes, and there you go. In fact, curiously enough, in said Heroes, there are rumors that Zeno, Goku, and Vegeta have these limit breaker Super Saiyan 4 forms. So they're able to go beyond that. Is it Super Saiyan 5? Hard to say. But they're able to find a newer level of Super Saiyan 4. So in terms of that, GT in itself will not become its own thing, nor will certain things become part of Super, but it still will be part of the franchise going forward.
Okay, so Caleb asks, what if Dragon Ball Super Bulma created a machine to go to different dimensions like in GT? Now, I actually don't remember that, but go ahead.
Well, I mean, to be honest, it'd be just like an advanced version of the time machine, but at the same time, she'd be fire regarding Beerus, who basically has flat out said, I do not want you creating time machines. If you do, there will be hell to pay. So, she's on thin ice with Beerus in that regard, despite providing him good food. But say, for example, if they did do that, that is one way they could do it, because I think that's the best thing that they do say with GT in the games, that, it's an alternate dimension. Not like a universe, it's a different dimension, where certain other things did happen. That's the way they do try to explain GT. that it's just like a variation rather than part of the actual timeline.
Okay. I was like, did I lose you? You just kind of stopped, and you might have answered the question, huh?
Yeah, I answered the question.
Okay. So, what if Captain Ginyu was truly evil with his body switch powers? Like, okay, first off, if I was Captain Ginyu, I would have said, change now, and then taken Frieza's body. What the hell, right? But what havoc could you see Captain Ginyu get into? This question's from Caleb. Oh, did you hear the question? Because it looks like I lost you for a sec. Or maybe I lost you for more than a sec. Huh.
Cut out there, mate. Hello.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So the question from Caleb was, what if Captain Ginyu was truly evil with his body switching powers? And I said, why didn't he ever just take Frieza's body? But go ahead.
Oh. Okay, well, basically, there is a thing called King Cold. There's a thing called King Cold. So yeah, granted, he takes Frieza's body. He doesn't know that Frieza can transform. So he'd be like, yeah, okay, he has Frieza's first form body. Granted, yeah, but it's like, and then basically Frieza and Ginyu's body say, well, that's very good, Captain Ginyu. But do you know to transform? I what? I can transform? Well, no, you can't because you don't know how. So basically, he's stuck in first form, really. And then basically, yeah. And then they find out, and the rest of the Ginyu force then inform King Cold. It's like, oh no, the captain's gone rogue. And then King Cold comes to the planet Namek and go like, what have you done to my baby boy? So basically, there is King Cold to take into account there. Because, yeah, granted, Frieza's pretty strong, but King Cold's even stronger.
So you're basically saying he could try to take over the most powerful person, but he won't be able to use their power to the fullest.
Yeah, exactly. That's the same thing what happened with Goku. It's like, yeah, he takes over Goku's body, but can only access like a certain amount of his power because he doesn't know how. That was the kind of the factor of diminishing returns with Goku.
So Caleb also asked, what if Piccolo had acquired the God form? Yeah.
If Piccolo acquired the God form, the thing is, though, there isn't necessarily a factor into the Super Saiyan God form, but it's very interesting with the whole idea of Zalama, the guy who created Super Shenron and the Super Dragon Ball. He was originally allegedly meant to be the first Namekian, and all Namekians born from him are descended from Zalama. So basically, what would be really interesting is if Piccolo was able to fuse with enough Namekians to be able to have some kind of connection to Zalama. So therefore, because nobody knows where Zalama, because essentially, the theory goes is that the original, it's basically Zalama, the Grand Priest, and Zeno are the three divine beings who set up the multiverse. And basically, the GP is the one of balance, basically like the angels. Zeno is the one of destruction because he can erase things, and then Zalama was the god, the pure god of the original god of creation, basically creating the Dragon Balls, creating people, and therefore nobody knows where Zalama's gone. So basically, it's my own personal theory that he was trapped in one of the universes that was erased by Zeno because he erased 6 universes whim. So you feel like, was there some kind of conspiracy to get rid of Zalama? And the only thing that is left of him is locked within the Super Dragon Ball, and therefore within Super Shenron. So you feel like there is a really interesting theory, and it was one of my earlier theories. Was somewhere to tap into Zalama, and therefore control Goku's body, and therefore be able to get his revenge on Zeno. That was my theory.
Okay, so it's about time for a puppy check. How's the puppy?
Puppy check, she is now in her bed and attacking a cardboard tube. I think my time may be limited here because basically I think I've got maybe about like 5 more minutes before I have to basically get her dinner ready.
Okay, so we'll ask one more question, and then this is from, first off, Dog777 responded, Frieza never transforms in front of Ginyu, so obviously he would not have ever known about it. So you make a good point. And then Caleb asks...
Very few people know about transformations.
Yeah. And then Caleb asks, what if Android 21 from Dragon Ball Fighters was canon. Although they kind of squeezed her in, because they kind of squeezed her into Kakarot. So are they trying to make her canon?
Well, she sort of is in a way. It's possible for her to be included because it's meant to be taking place between the Goku.
Oh, hold on.
And they return, and then when Buller is born. So it's like maybe like a 6 months between then and the Tournament of Power. So in terms of that, it does potentially happen in that segment. So they could easily make Android 21 into that. The trouble is, though, is that she's really more aimed at games. And also Android 21, I hate to say it, but she is not appropriate for Dragon Ball. She is really not. Not for the main series, because her characterization, I mean, for an average anime, perfectly acceptable. But she's incredibly thirsty and like really portrayed in this way, which is incredibly weird for this show. And especially considering the fact that it would have been fine for the days of Dragon Ball Z, because Dragon Ball Wednesday show. So basically, she was like fit and appropriate for then because it's meant to be for teens. But it's a kids show now. It's on at 9:30 in the morning with One Piece. So there's only so far you can go in terms of, you know, gore, things happening. You don't see blood in Super. So you really need to play it very safe. And the characterization of 21 is like overly sexualized. It's just way too much. So you feel like with the games, that's kind of where they need to do. If not, they really need to kind of change the characterization to the point where she may not be recognizable to fans of her already in the game. So you've got to be very careful with that.
Yeah, so this is the last question. This is from Yash Betgary. Hopefully I pronounced it correctly.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have a theory. It says, I'd like to think that when Future Trunks went back, there's air quotes, after the Goku Black arc, he was interrupted by Konoha, the Kai of Time, yeah, and joined the Time Patrol. Then, when the Tournament of Power happened, universes 1 to 18 were brought back, leading to the Demon Realms and or the Meikei. It was like yes, thank you, to exist, causing a literal Xenoverse saga. It could take place whenever, and it might make everything canon. Just a theory, though. So basically, if I understand the question correctly, basically trying to find an event that creates basically, what is that, the flashpoint?
Yeah, to make Xenoverse a thing. And to be honest, that's the best thing that could happen to Trunks right now, because at the end of the Goku Black arc, he basically was like, Trunks was then like, his entire thing that he was fighting for Z was destroyed, erased right in front of him. He's like, got nothing now, and the best thing that we can offer is like, oh, you can go to a different dimension where you and two of you have fun with that. And I'm like, that is terrible for Trunks. That is a terrible ending for him. So the best thing that you can do, and I do a what if this, what if Trunks and my stayed in the past? And what I do in that is that I have the Supreme Kai of Time show up, and that is the flashpoint where he then goes to become Time Patrol Trunks and have some sense of purpose. And therefore you get Toki City, you get the whole thing in Xenoverse happening, and basically Konoha, instead of punishing him, making him actually atone for what he's done with time to help fix it. So he gives him a purpose, and therefore an actual home, whereas not having to share a world with a different Trunks and Mai.
Okay, so you have to go, and I'd like to thank everybody for the questions, and just a reminder that the charity for today is the Orange Out Foundation, and you can donate to the link below. And thanks to MasakoX for doing this today. There was a little bit of confusion up front, but then he ended up having to be off site, so this was the best option. And you have any last words for the audience?
Well, as a certain person would always say, when you fall off that horse, you get back up and you eat that horse.
Nice. It's a great way to end. Okay. Alrighty. So, again, thank you all. Thank you for MasakoX. And just a reminder for those of you who are watching that the next channel I have to find it. Here we go. Is it's going to be Animal Crossing New Horizons with DapperDraBY on. Here you go on Twitch at DapperDraBY. And so if you want to join that and watch some Animal Crossing and discuss that, you can join that. And thank you all for watching. And please donate. Goodbye.